From Kanye West's Jesus is King to Justin Bieber quoting scripture on stage, from country artists slipping Bible verses into hit songs to worship leaders showing up on the Billboard Hot 100, there's been a growing buzz. Are Christian themes actually making a comeback in mainstream music? Some call it a spiritual awakening in pop culture. Others call it a well-timed PR stunt. So today we're diving deep into the rise of Christian themes in mainstream music, asking, is it real or just really good marketing? Let's talk about it. Let's start with the obvious. Over the last 5 years, we've seen a noticeable shift in how mainstream artists talk about faith, God, and spiritual longing. And it's not always subtle. In 2019, Kanye West dropped Jesus is King, a full-blown gospel album. No profanity, no flexing, just full throttle praise. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, and every single track topped the gospel charts. This wasn't just a career pivot. It was a cultural moment. Suddenly, churches were debating Kanye in sermons, and secular listeners were being introduced to terms like Sunday service choir, but Kanye wasn't alone. That same year, Justin Bieber started speaking more publicly about his faith, not just in interviews, but in music. His Freedom EP in 2021 featured overtly Christian lyrics, worship-like melodies, and even spoken word prayers quoting scripture. It's a raw, honest exploration of faith in the middle of struggle. Not a polished Sunday school lesson, but something that resonates with millions. And even artists who don't label themselves as Christian musicians are drawing deeply from spiritual themes. Take Chance the Rapper, a mainstream rapper with bars filled with biblical imagery. Songs like Blessings and Finish Line, Drown reference God, salvation, and gratitude in ways that feel deeply personal, not performative. Or Tyler Childers, the Appalachian folk and country singer who blends vivid Southern imagery with religious language. In songs like Way of the Triune God, he references prayer, redemption, and grace with both reverence and familiarity. Then there's Bryan, one of the fastest rising names in country. What's even more surprising is how worship artists are breaking into the mainstream. Forrest Frank from Surfaces has been merging worship music with chill pop and blowing up on TikTok. Brandon Lake, one of the top names in Christian worship, has gone viral outside of church spaces, even landing performances on late-night television. A few years ago, this kind of crossover felt rare. Now, it's becoming more common. It begs the question, are we witnessing a shift in what mainstream music considers cool? But before we go further, we've got to ask, what exactly do we mean by Christian themes in music? Are we talking about altar calls and gospel choirs in every song? Not quite. Christian themes in music can take many forms. Sometimes it's a song about wrestling with doubt. Sometimes it's about longing for purpose. Other times it's a bold proclamation of faith and truth. Here are some quick examples. Kanye West, Selah. God is King, We the Soldiers, Ultra Beam Out the Solar. Zach Williams, Chainbreaker. If you've got pain, he's a pain taker. Each one reflects a spiritual tension, a search, a declaration, a prayer, and that's what makes it meaningful, even if it doesn't sit neatly in the Christian music genre. Now let's zoom out. This isn't the first time Christian themes showed up in pop music. In the past, we've seen mainstream legends tap into faith in powerful ways. Johnny Cash sang about sin, redemption, and the cross. Bob Dylan had a whole born-again period with albums like Slow Train Coming. Elvis Presley recorded multiple gospel albums, one of which, He Touched Me, even won a Grammy. In the 90s and 2000s, DC Talk, Jars of Clay, and Switchfoot flirted with crossover success, blending Christian lyrics with alternative rock. But today's moment feels different. Today's artists aren't hiding their faith in liner notes or behind metaphors. They're leading with it. They're posting scripture on social media. They're praying publicly. They're collaborating with worship leaders, pastors, and even using their platform to invite people to church. This level of openness used to be rare. Now it's becoming expected. So why the shift? Why are more artists, even in secular spaces, suddenly speaking openly about faith? Let's break down a few key reasons. 1. Cultural exhaustion. Mainstream culture is noisy, it's cynical, it's performative. A lot of people, artists included, are burned out on the grind. In a world full of filters, likes, and algorithms, people are craving something real, and faith at its best offers that. 2. The pandemic reset. COVID-19 was a cultural reset. People lost jobs, routines, relationships, and for many that sparked spiritual curiosity. Mental health struggles exploded. Isolation led people to ask deeper questions. Why am I here? What really matters? Is there something or someone beyond all of this? Many artists, including celebrities with platforms, experienced quiet, personal conversions during that time. 3. Redemption stories. Some artists didn't just find faith, they were transformed by it. Kanye West began leading Sunday services and preaching. Justin Bieber went through a public transformation, often pointing to mentors at Hillsong and Churcham. Marcus Mumford of Mumford & Sons opened up about childhood trauma and the healing he's found in spirituality. These stories aren't surface-level rebrands. They're stories of struggle, renewal, and hope. 4. Audience demand. Here's the twist. The public is hungry for this. A 2022 study by Barna Group found that more than half of Gen Z are open to spiritual conversations, even if they're skeptical of organized religion. That means faith-centered songs are resonating outside of the Christian bubble. When an artist is sincere, listeners can feel it. And people don't need to share your theology to connect with your vulnerability. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Is this all just a new marketing trend? Some people are understandably skeptical. When faith suddenly becomes part of a celebrity's brand, it raises questions. Is this authentic, or is it just a way to re-engage fans, sell merch, or spark viral attention? Truth is, in a media-driven world, faith can be commodified. We've seen it happen before, and unfortunately, we'll probably see it again. But here's the nuance. Just because some use faith as a gimmick doesn't mean all do. And just because someone is imperfect doesn't mean they're insincere. In Philippians 1, the Apostle Paul makes a striking statement. Some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, others out of goodwill, but what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, Christ is preached, and because of this I rejoice. That's a bold take. Paul essentially says, even if the motives are messy, if Jesus is being made known, that still matters. Now, does that mean we shouldn't use discernment? Of course not. But maybe the better question isn't, is this artist perfect? But rather, is Jesus being lifted up? Because if Christ is being proclaimed through music, testimony, or broken people, then maybe we should rejoice, even if it doesn't look the way we expect. Here's why all of this matters. Mainstream music is one of the most powerful pulpits in the world. It reaches millions, far beyond the walls of a church or the view count of a sermon. And if artists are using that platform to explore faith, doubt, forgiveness, and grace, that's worth paying attention to, because it might be a sign that God's not done with culture, that the hunger for truth, meaning, and redemption is still alive, even in unexpected places, that your playlist can be more than background noise. It can actually feed your soul. So what do you think? Is the rise of Christian themes in mainstream music genuine, a revival, or just another passing trend? Let's talk in the comments. And hey, while you're at it, maybe go build a playlist filled with songs that point you toward truth, beauty, and hope. And remember, like, subscribe, share this with someone who's been wondering the same thing. Thanks for watching. And remember, faith and pop culture don't have to be strangers. See you next time.